So it's now time, unfortunately, as we come towards the end of this session, for our final speaker, who has sent us her video testimony from Manila in the Philippines. Sister Judith Padasas is a Carmelite sister of charity and a member of the coordinating team for Talitha Kum in the Philippines. Since 2010, Sister Judith has campaigned against human trafficking and particularly the online sexual exploitation of children in dioceses and parishes around Manila. Sister Judith devotes her time to raising awareness of trafficking, exploitation, and also teen pregnancy in schools, youth groups, and slum areas. And since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, she's taken her outreach directly to women and children at risk who are living on the streets, in illegal settlements, under city bridges, and even in Manila North Cemetery. So let's hear from Sister Judith.
The meeting on December 6, 2009, that I attended with the religious sisters in Washington, D.C. to end human trafficking was a wish granted to get involved with women and children advocacy. With this group, I committed myself to do the room-to-room campaign, giving awareness against human trafficking in the 3 public high schools in Tagaytay City. And why in the public schools? Because they offer free education, and majority of the students are coming from poor families. And why in Tagaytay City? It is a tourist spot. It is where I was assigned as one of the 3 Vedruna sisters running the shelter called Tahanan Vedruna. Tahanan is a Tagalog word for home. So it is a Vedruna home for poor, abandoned children and rescued from the abuses and exploitations of parents and relatives. When I came back to Philippines on January 2010, I approached the 3 school administrators of the 3 public high schools. After reading my letter of request, allowing me to do the room-to-room campaign, I was so surprised by their reaction. This is what the students need to know, sister, and you are the right person to inform them, for we ourselves do not know about it. I started campaigning on February 10, 2010, giving priority to graduating students because the school year ended in March 2010. I was given 28 classrooms with 55 to 60 students in each classroom to give a 1-hour talk using the time for values education subject. In the beginning, I had no PowerPoint to present, no video to show about human trafficking, how to get the attention of the inattentive students. I gave a short information about human trafficking as a high-profile crime, a billion-dollar industry. I addressed to them that human traffickers are selling persons, preferably children and young people like you, because you are the most vulnerable members of the society. So the reason why I am here, to prevent you from becoming victims. We want you to be aware, to be alert, to be saved, because we care for you, we love you, and God loves you. You are precious. With this, I got their attention. This short information was followed by the true story of our neighbor, a 15-year-old beautiful girl, Lisa, who was recruited to work as an entertainer and dancer in Japan. So she was brought to Manila. Her mother, knowing I was assigned in Manila, requested me to look for her daughter. She gave me the address. I was apprehensive because the street is famous for having a belt of red houses. I was a young junior sister then, so a Spanish sister accompanied me. The house is big with high concrete fences. We were allowed to enter by the guard when he saw the veiled sisters. Lisa came down to meet us, unusual for a teenager to wear black evening gown with traces of lipstick on her lips at 7 o'clock in the morning. So her work would have just ended early in the morning. No matter how we convince her that her mother is so worried that we are giving scholarship so she can continue her studies and find better job in the future, she said no. She was decided to go to Japan after 2 weeks rehearsal. She went to Japan, worked in the bar. The bar owner made her his second wife. Lisa became the owner of the bar. She built a house, the biggest in her hometown. She went home to visit the family and recruited her sisters, cousins, and neighbors to work in her bar. So this is a typical vulnerable victim of human trafficking who turned into a typical human trafficker, alluring young people to become rich. After the talk, one of them commented that human trafficking is a reality, not just what he saw on TV or movie. Other students said they were moved to share what human trafficking is to their family, friends, relatives, and to the group of young people. After doing this campaign alone, the program officer of Women and Gender Committee joined in this campaign in August 2011. In February 2012, I accepted the invitation of Talitha Kum Philippines, one of the mission partners of the Association of the Major Religious Superiors in the Philippines. So I joined this group after seeing that we are having the same advocacy. In Talitha Kum Philippines, we were able to intensify our work, giving orientation and awareness seminars to the religious, priests, and sisters in the diocese, church workers, lay leaders, and youth groups in the parishes, local government officials and staff in the districts, teachers, parents, and students in the schools. We broadened and strengthened our networking and partnership with the Philippine Government Agency, which is called the IACAT, Interagency Council Against Trafficking, which is under the Department of Justice. We joined the sponsorship with the Philippine Interfaith Movement Against Trafficking, or PIMAC, in the celebration of International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking, together with a group from the Catholic Bishop Conference of the Philippines. Talitha Kum Philippines is in partnership with International Justice Mission, the IJM, which is more focused on the online sexual exploitation of children, which is OSET. Talitha Kum Philippines, through the leadership of our active coordinator, we were able to help in organizing Talitha Kum Asia in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, and still other countries are joining. Every month, online meeting is held, hosted by the assigned country of Talitha Kum members. I am very grateful to God, to the Unanima International, for inviting me to join the internship program, attending the conferences and assemblies about global issues on climate change, poverty eradication, socio and economic sustainability, human trafficking, and listening to the roundtable discussion, joining rallies and events inside and outside of the United Nations. This internship program gave me a global view of human trafficking. And thanks also to the Talitha Kum International Coordinator, Gabriela Botani, for accepting me to join the first Talitha Kum Leadership Training in Rome in 2018-2019. I was able to have enough time to analyze the biggest problem in the country, making Philippines famous and the epicenter of the crime, online sexual exploitation of children. In analyzing the root causes and effects, Talitha Kum Philippines was able to focus in partnership with International Justice Mission on giving awareness and education to the residents in the slum areas, illegal dwellers under the bridge and cemetery, schools, small districts, remote areas where the indigenous people are in the southern part of Philippines, and to the religious sisters and church workers. We give additional topic on teen pregnancy to the high school students and young people, especially in the slum areas. For Philippines is the #1 in Southeast Asia with the highest number of teenage mothers. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear from Sister Judith and to have her vivid insight into the work of Talitha Kum networks on the ground. And so Sister Judith concludes our lineup for today. And in just one moment, I'm going to hand the microphone back to Sister Sheila, who's going to wrap up the meeting for us. But before I do, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for joining us. And of course, especially to our speakers, our inspirational, affirmative, wonderful speakers. We're so grateful for your time and for everything that you've shared today. Of course, thank you to Patricia, to Therese, to Anna, to our brilliant translators, to our partners at the Global Solidarity Fund, and to everyone who's worked at or with UISG to make this session possible. It's been a pleasure. Finally, I want to remind you that the next and last session of this Sisters Empowering Women series will be on peace, and it's scheduled for September 29th. More details will follow. Patricia will be sending out newsletters and information to the UISG contact lists. So, Sister Sheila, I will say goodbye and hand it over to you just to, well, give us the final note of this beautiful session.
Well, I just want to thank everybody. I think we have started something really very, very important. Just listening to each other, we see that we have many pieces that we can offer to make an integrated whole that can be dynamic. So I thank you for coming and being a part of this new frontier where we have to be listening to one another, be engaging in dialogue, looking at, as Sister Ellis did, let's look at what we've been doing in education and reaching out to others in simple ways to be advocates. And Sister Norma really raising up the power of the story. You know, that was what the scripture's about. And, you know, our stories are as sacred as those stories. So raising that up. And then bringing Sister Angela with the tools of the Mercy Sisters. They're very leader in many, many ways, bringing those tools forward and so willingly sharing those with us. That was so helpful. And Sister Donatus getting out there and giving the story straight and center and bringing in all of the people who have been a part of you in one swell soup, just bringing them together and allowing us to know that we need to be a part of this. We got to be strategic bringing it forward. And Sister Judith, you know, with the young people and trying to say, let's give a future. And that her story was, I mean, continuing to tell and to teach that story and invite others to say, this needs to be in this country and that country. No one is going to be left behind. So we need to be together. We need to keep in dialogue. And I look forward, this is my initiation, I look forward to ongoing conversations as we do so. Hope for the planet. And we continue with Laudato Si action platform that includes everything that we're doing, not taking it away, but raising up what you're doing, you know, at the level of the church, you know, at the level where we have influence. We need to be there for each other because, as Pope Francis very well says, the whole is greater than the parts, even the sum of the parts. And what we've seen here this afternoon was a very dynamic whole, when each of us gave our very best and promise for a future to work together. So thank you, Julia, for planning all of this and for allowing me to be a part of it at this time. So God bless you, and we will be in this together. In the same boat, we either sink or swim, and you know what? We're going to make it together. Thank you.